Tharparkar Desert has surprised me with its stunning biodiversity. In this episode, I'm after one desert dweller that has never been filmed before in Pakistan. But I do have local expertise to help me find a reptile that has 360-degree vision, crystals in its skin, and a tongue longer than its body. The Karoonjhar Hills of Tharparkar is a place of spectacular biodiversity. Located in the middle of a subtropical desert, temperatures reach the upper limits.
When it comes to reptiles, the most fascinating one for me is found right here in the mountains of Tharparkar in the Great Thar Desert. Of more than 150 species, only one is found on the entire Indian subcontinent. I'm after the Asian chameleon. These chameleons are rare. There's not a lot of literature available on these chameleons out there, and I've never seen them myself in the wild before, so I have recruited some local help, and he is supposed to meet me right here.
While I wait for Suleman, I search for a reptilian candidate. But what I find is a much more dangerous one.
Now this is a saw-scale viper. Look at this guy. I mean, don't be fooled by the size. These guys don't grow to be too large. They usually don't grow beyond 24 inches, but these are highly venomous and very aggressive snakes. Only 5 milligrams of the venom can actually kill a grown person.
If you're bitten by one of these, within minutes, pain and swelling starts. It can inject as much as 12 milligrams of venom with a single bite. Considering it takes only 5 milligrams to kill a human, I will let this guy go and welcome Suleman, a local wildlife guard who has spent more than 2 decades observing and protecting the wildlife here in Tharparkar Desert.
ड्यूटी हमने अभी 32 साल सर्विस की है, ठीक है जी। हमारी ड्यूटी है, हम उसकी तनख्वाह खाते हैं जानवरों की। मारता है या कोई बच्चे बगैर लाइसेंस लेके जाता है उसको हम पकड़ते हैं, उसमें पर्चा काटते हैं, हमारी ड्यूटी की है।
Just to make sure that we are talking about the same lizard, I asked Suleman to give me a description.
वो किस तरह का है?
वो मुख्तलिफ है, ये आम सांडे उसके मुख्तलिफ है। ये जैसे दरख्त होता है, ऐसा दरख्त नमूना सावा होता है, पीला होता है, रंग तब्दील करता है। आगे उसके जो पाँव हैं, उसकी अंगलियाँ 2 है, उसकी जो दूसरे आम सांडे उसके 3 हैं। वो चलता है बिल्कुल स्लो, आराम से चलेगा, ऐसे दौड़ के नहीं भागेगा, बिल्कुल स्लो चलेगा। इससे ज़बान निकालता है, समझो 100 पेरी बिल्कुल झटका लगा के उसको जो जीत होता है उसको कवर कर लेता है झटके से, ज़बान से। देखना बहुत मुश्किल है, इसको बहुत मुश्किल है। आम जाम नहीं कि ये ज़्यादा हैं जो भाई आपको जिधर जाए आपको नज़र है, नहीं, बहुत मुश्किल से बिल्कुल। आप जैसा आपको पता नहीं चलेगा आपके दरख्त है ये जो है उस पर बैठेगा आप, जैसा आपको होगा ऐसा ही हो जाएगा उसका रंग, किसी को पता नहीं चलेगा आपका पता है या कोई ये सांडा बैठा होगा।
Lucky for me, Suleman has spotted one a couple of days ago, and I'm hoping that it will not have traveled far from the spot. But still, I've never seen a chameleon in the wild, And that makes a great difference in your ability to actually spot the lizard. So I'm learning anything that I can from Suleman. He knows where and how to find them. Suleman shows me the plants and places of most potential where you can find a chameleon. While we continue to search for the chameleon, I stumble upon another lizard.
These lizards are not range restricted at all. In fact, these guys are one of the most widespread lizard species out there in the world. And they are semi-arboreal, so you can see them pretty much everywhere here, in the trees, on the rocks, on the ground. And they mainly eat insects, and they hunt their prey with a sit and wait method, where they just wait for the prey to come in the striking distance.
The search for the rare chameleon is on, and we search many trees and bushes.
हाँ जी,
And finally, Suleman spots one.
किधर है? किस साइड पे? Look at this. This is very exciting. My first ever chameleon species. It's wonderful, and although it was right in front of me, I couldn't see it. I really had to put my vision to the test here. It naturally resembles the tree here. So it was right in this tree, and I took my eyes off it for a minute, and now I am not able to locate it in the tree, although it should be right here. Oh. There. There it is. I mean, I can see it now with the naked eye, but even with the larger screen, it's difficult to get him in focus.
After some fumbling, I get the chameleon in frame.
Now just look at him. It's no wonder that these guys are incredibly difficult to spot in the wild. In addition to naturally resembling the color of their surrounding, these guys also do that famous rocking back and forth movement where they sort of try to mimic the movement of a leaf to confuse its predator. And these lizards are highly specialized arboreal creatures, and they are designed for a life in the trees. I mean, most lizards have 5 toes. The 2 toes on the outside are fused to form one group, and the 3 toes on the inside are fused to form another group. And on the hind foot, this arrangement is opposite, and this enables them to have a firm hold of the branches on which these lizards spend most of their time. They also have a very special prehensile tail that they wrap around branches to move up and down a tree. And just to give you an idea of how specially adapted this lizard is to a life in the trees, I'm going to take it out from its elements and put it on the ground.
Bringing a chameleon down from a thorny tree is easier said than done. I cannot climb to the thin branches where the chameleon has climbed, so I try to trick the chameleon into climbing onto a pole. Not a bad idea, but the convincing part is not easy.
Just look at him. This guy is not happy because he wants to be up there in the tree. That is where he belongs. If I take it close to the branch, just look at the tail. Look at the tail. He's going to try and reach out to the branch and use my arm as a hold, Look at him. Look, you can actually see the prehensile tail in action. Look at him. Desperate to reach out. There you go. No, buddy. Just a little more time with me. And then I'm gonna leave you alone.
As experts as chameleons are in the trees and bushes, when it comes to locomotion on the ground, they're pretty clumsy.
Now just look at him. So I place him on the ground. You can clearly see that he's not designed for life on the ground. Pretty clumsy, isn't he? That is why these guys avoid spending too much time on the ground, and they'll only come to the ground where they have to cross one clump of tree to move to another clump of tree. Just look at him.
There's a common misconception that chameleons mainly change color for camouflage. It's not all about blending in.
But the reality is they change color to communicate with other chameleons. This one right now is a bit agitated, so you can see that he's turned a bit darker. And that's what he's trying to tell me, that I'm not happy, just leave me alone. Other than that, chameleons in the wild communicate by changing colors. For example, when males are fighting for dominance, and when females are trying to convey to the males if they've accepted or rejected them.
And recent studies show that it is not all about pigmentation either. Chameleons are extraordinary creatures, and the wonders of a chameleon don't stop here. While it is very difficult to see a chameleon in the wild, for a chameleon to spot us is very easy.
Now, it doesn't really matter if you are in front of a chameleon or behind it, because it will spot you, and that too without moving its head, thanks to those independently rotating eyes.
But the most fascinating feature of a chameleon for me is the extraordinary tongue. The tongue of a chameleon can be 1.5 to 2 times of its body length. A tongue of this size is actually important for a hunter that cannot move quickly, approaches its prey with stealth, and needs to catch the prey from a fair distance.
That was quick. These animals have the most advanced tongues in the world. And for an animal that is slow itself and the prey is fast, having this kind of a tongue is actually a lifesaver.
This juicy tidbit is exactly what chameleons need to survive. They primarily feed on insects. The average chameleon needs several a day to survive. It's these insects that are the main drivers of many of our ecosystems, and they are under severe threat. In some areas of the world, they have declined by more than 75%. Habitat loss is an alarming threat for a lizard that is range restricted. 1/3 of the chameleon species are at the risk of extinction. Although the Asian chameleon is identified as least concerned by the IUCN, we do not know how they are doing in Pakistan. In fact, this is the first time that they are even filmed here. These harmless lizards for sure will have a tough time dealing with the global rising temperatures. Chameleons are particularly vulnerable to climate change as they have evolved with very narrow thermal tolerances. Their body temperature is controlled by the surrounding temperatures. Many have evolved in areas that are already as hot as they can survive. So even small increases in temperatures could push them into pretty severe heat stress. I've always wanted to film a chameleon, and finally I did. To be honest, these fellas are otherworldly. Everything about them is unique. Such harmless creatures having a special way of life. It is creatures like these that make the deserts special.